It is Super Draco 380, and I'm back with Pack 2 of the Build the Battleship Bismarck. And so, starting with Pack 2, we're going to pick up where we finished up with in Pack 1 with the gearbox for the gun motor. Or, I'm sorry, the gearbox for the anchors. So, first things first, we've got these peg holes. And what we are going to do is we've got these two shafts, and we're going to install those shafts into those two slots. Alright, so the first shaft is going to go into this slot. Now, it's not the best fit, but that's pretty good because what's going to happen is we're going to put some cogs over them, so they're not going to fit quite too tight because the cogs need to be able to rotate. And right here, I'm just checking the cogs because this pack included 5 different cogs, 3 of which had pins in, 2 that didn't. So basically, I'm just verifying which cog is going to fit in there because the 2 cogs, I wanted to make sure they weren't, if they were the same or if they were different. So then with the cog, the shaft sits much better. And then we're going to do the same thing in this hole right here. And again, I'm verifying what direction the cog goes into because, as you can see, there's the threading on the outside, and then there's threading on the upper section. Now this cog has a little arm sticking off of it, and you want that oriented facing slightly to the left of that recess right there. That recess is going to house a switch for the anchor mechanism. So then we take this cog with the shaft already on it, and it's going to fit into that hole and then thread into the upper cog of that first one. So then we're going to take the other 2 cogs and they're going to fit into those holes. Now again, I'm just making sure they're rotating and moving freely. I believe one end of these has spleens. I always thought that was called a curled pin. But either way, basically one end of the pin is textured so that when it goes into something that it's not going to slip right back out. So I was going to set it down, so what I've got here is my pillbox that I keep my spare screws in. So I'm just resting it on that so it doesn't shove the shafts back out. So then we take the anchor motor. We're going to need that, I believe that's a worm gear with a cog on the end. And I'm just going to remove the wire tie and keep that for tidying the wires later on. And The worm gear has a cross-shaped end and it's just going to fit right onto that motor. Nice and simple. So then when we install it, you want that wire pointing upward. So then you just want to fit it in and make sure that the sprockets, I believe you call it, the sprockets of the gears or the cogs line up. And you want the wire on the motor pointing upwards. And as you can see, I have already detached the anchor chains, or the anchors from the chains. So then I'm going to bring in the switch. The switch is going to fit into that little socket there, and you want that little arm on that cog to the left. Now it's not quite fitting as flush as I would like. Now I could be incorrect, but I believe that switch reverses the direction of the anchor motor when the anchors get to a certain height. So then with all that, we're going to put the top of the cover on, or the top housing on. Now the pins are going to go through all the way through and come all the way through. The switch is going to stick out like that. And as you can see, I'm having a small bit of difficulty. This is one of them instances where I wish I had an extra set of arms. Now I just want to get that go ahead and fitting on there. As I believe I have the spleens or splines on the curled pins in the wrong direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out some of the other cogs and we're going to try them in the other direction. Go ahead and get everything back in place now that I've flipped it over. Again, using my little pill boxes that I store screws in to just keep everything in position. Put the worm gear and the sprocket back on the motor. And then drop the motor in. And I'm going to apologize, this is out of frame. Basically, you know, this isn't exactly anything complex, especially because with the camera in front of me it's a little difficult, and now it's fitted together. So we're just making sure everything's fitting together, making sure the motor's right, making sure the anchor chains aren't tangling up. So then we're going to take these PB screws and we're going to screw the gearbox together at 6 points. Now there you can see it, there's quite a few holes on this. Referencing the instructions, making sure I've got the right ones, and then I'm just going to lightly thread the screws in before we tighten them all the way up. Alright, and now that we have the gearbox screwed together, I'm going to put away my pillboxes, and then we're going to bring in the top deck of the Bismarck that we've been working on so far. Now, I initially think the anchors are going through these holes, but I'm incorrect. Those are the holes for the capstans. The anchor chains actually thread through those holes in front of those. Alright, now I've got it. I've figured out where the anchor chains actually are going. They go through, like I said, those smaller holes. And I cut out quite a bit, and that's probably for the best, so you don't see just how stupid I really am. Now this is a tight fit, so I'm carefully making sure the chains get in and don't get caught. And then as you can see, those 3 exposed shafts are going to fit through the holes going to the top of the deck. And then the 4 pegs on the deck itself are going to, or on the motor itself, are going to stick to those large peg holes sticking off the deck. And then we're going to fix this to the deck with 4 PB screws. And just like before, we're only going to lightly fit them in so we can make sure we've got everything lined up properly. So then I'm going to pick it up, and I'm holding it this way so that my hand is not pressing against any of the fine details we attached, because we don't want to snap anything off. As you can see, that gray detail right there. Alright, and now with the gearbox attached, we're going to flip the deck over. The anchor chains, we're going to pull them up over those black guides. We don't want them getting tangled on the deck itself. So then we're going to do that to get them out of the way. Then I'm just using my pillboxes again just to keep that motor and stuff from getting caught on the ground. So then we're just going to put the bottom of the capstan head, and we're going to fit it right onto that little shaft in the middle. I'm going to get my toothpick and apply just the smallest amount of glue to the inside of that. Alright, and now that we have the head fixed, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the actual capstans. Now the green is going to go on the port side because green has more letters, and as we know, that's going on the starboard side because green has more letters than red, and starboard has more letters than port, so they're both the right because right has more letters than left. The red is going to go on the port side. They're going to fit right onto those shafts. Make sure they're nice and straight. And then we're going to take the anchor chains. It's going to wrap around the black chain guide, and then it's going to come to the front of the ship, and then it's going to go under the little guide. Just like that. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Run it around the guide, then under the little arch, and there we go. And I'm just going to set it up on my pillboxes again. And then all that's left is I'm going to bring in my helping hands, and we're going to reattach the anchors to the anchor chains. And there we go. That is stage 9 all complete. The motor, the gearbox, the motor, the switch, the gearbox, and the anchors. Alright, I will see you next time when we continue with stage 10. Thanks for watching.